Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin at the US dollar. This is the 1 week chart, guys. And I wanted to start off with the bigger picture here, guys. There's a lot of FOMO going on right now, guys. There's a lot of increase in volume, a lot of new interest, or seemingly new peaked interest in the market, guys. And I just want to make sure, for those that may have missed my prior videos, we are still, it's absolutely in a bearish trend here, guys. The overall trend is extremely bearish looking. In fact, we have this almost perfect bearish looking pennant, which would suggest price would end up breaking down. If this pennant gets validated, guys, we're looking at a target somewhere around 3,000 to 2,500 if that does happen. Doesn't mean that has to happen, guys, but it just means as of right now, especially the fact that we're testing the top of this ascending resistance line here, that would suggest that price may end up breaking down here fairly shortly, especially as we're approaching the apex here. And in fact, as I showed you guys last time, if we zoom out here on the weekly chart, obviously, if we go from this swing high right around 6,000 when price ended up breaking down to this current low where it is now, obviously that's created a lower high. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that. And we look at the exact point on the MACD, we can see that the MACD created a higher high. That's divergence, in this case being a downtrend. We're looking at the upside, that's hidden divergence, and of course in this case that's hidden bearish divergence, and would suggest a breakdown in price. So we're not just seeing that bearish pennant, we're also seeing that hidden bearish divergence to also suggest that price, big picture wise, may end up breaking down. All right, looking at the smaller time frame, zooming all the way into the 4-hour chart, guys, we can see that that price is creating a series of lower highs, higher lows, obviously approaching the apex of the wedge. And just like any wedge, guys, what do you expect to see when price approaches the apex here? Well, you expect that larger move to come. And I do think we're getting to the point where we're going to see that very, very shortly. If we look in here, guys, we can see that price already just bounced perfectly right off the top of that descending resistance line. And it looks to me like price may come back down, test at least 3,800 here, if not coming back down and testing this ascending support line. That would also work out well. If we zoom in here, we've noticed that we've seen a lot of structure in the market. I pointed this out last time. In fact, I'll just quickly draw it here. We had this perfect hit. If I go swing low, swing high of this larger structure, we had the perfect hit right there off that 618 fib level, guys. Just a perfect technical hit. We can also see that those fib levels were acting as support and resistance this entire time. So again, seeing a lot of structure in the market here. But if we zoom in here even closer to this little microstructure, and I go swing low, swing high of that microstructure, guys, what do we see? We can see that we had, again, a perfect technical hit right there between that golden pocket between the 618 and the 65 fib level. So again, I can see price coming back down depending on where it is. When it does come back down, at least hitting this, at least the $3,800 support, which has been support for a very long time, but possibly this golden pocket between the 618 and the 65 fib level, if not wicking all the way down to this ascending support line here. So I can see a scenario where price comes back down. And again, if we kind of zoom in here, let's look at longs and shorts before I continue there. So this will make a little bit more sense if we do that first. Looking at longs, guys, longs are slowly dropping off the board here. And if we look at shorts, shorts are stacking. Not significantly, but they are stacking. Now, longs still slightly outpacing shorts, but no question that longs are dropping off, shorts are slowly stacking. That would suggest what? That would suggest that price may end up breaking down. Market makers may want to liquidate these short positions. How do you liquidate those new short positions? You do it by driving price by driving price up. You liquidate shorts by driving price up, but they're going to bait those short positions in a little bit further, in my opinion, possibly to where we look at something like this, guys, to where, as I said, we may come back down, at least test this $3,800 support, if not lower to that 618 fib level down here, and depending on where it is in price, possibly testing the ascending support line somewhere, bouncing somewhere in that area, and then nice reversal right there at the apex, coming right back up. And at this point, what's going to happen? FOMO is going to take over, right? So you just liquidated those short positions. People are going to start to get, people are going to start getting FOMO. They're going to start thinking, man, this is it. The bottom is in. Price is heading up. We're going to break up here. My opinion, possibly hit this zone between 4,000 and 4,120, which is an extremely strong resistance area, as you guys know if you followed my videos. If you haven't, we'll just quickly zoom out here on the daily. We can see that 4,000 to 4,120, at least on Coinbase. It'll vary depending on your exchange, but on Coinbase, that lies between 4,000 and 4,120. Price has been unable to break above that zone decisively. Again, by decisively, I mean a daily candle, both opening and closing above 4,120. We wicked above it, but we've been price has been unable to decisively break above it for a very, very long time. Since last time we closed above it was all the way back in November. So clearly this is going to be a strong resistance, guys. I can see a scenario where, again, price comes up, hits this zone, everybody starts thinking that this is it, we're breaking out, hits this zone and completely reverses course and just collapses, at least down to that $3,600 support, if not even lower than that. And again, going back to that big picture on the weekly, if you guys can remember, that bearish pennant, the target of that bearish pennant is somewhere around 3,000 if that gets validated. So in my opinion, this is the scenario that I'm watching out for. How am I going to play that? I'm going to be watching, I've got the buy orders stacked now between, can't get rid of this, standby. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so how am I going to play this? I've got buy order stacked between 3,800 and 3,750 right now, expecting price to come back down, drop into that zone, find some support, and then completely take off from there. And again, it may, if price does, if we do end up dropping down here and I do get those buy orders filled, I always want to be transparent with you guys. More than likely, as price comes up, I'm going to take out my investment somewhere around 3,900. So I'll basically just let the profits ride from 3,900. And I'm going to be targeting 4,000. I'll be completely out of the trade at 4,000, assuming that this plays out the way that I'm hoping. And I do have buy orders already stacked. Now, as far as shorting, guys, I am expecting to short the market between 4,000 and 4,120. As I said, guys, I'm expecting that overall bearish reversal to where price comes back down and has one more significant drop before we do end up reversing course. And I would expect that reversal to happen, but again, between 4,000 and 4,120. So I'm going to stack sell orders in. I'm going to enter a short position between 4,000 and 4,120, targeting 3,800, and I'll probably get out at 3,800 even if price does go much lower than that. Again, I'm a conservative trader, guys, but if you wanted to let it ride, by all means, this is not financial advice, just kind of giving you an idea of what I'm doing. But I don't have orders already placed here between 4,100 and, between 4,000 and 4,120. I'm going to wait and see how price or how the market is looking if and when we do get up into this zone. If we get up into this zone with a ton of volume backing it, and if we have short positions that are starting to stack as long positions drop off, even as price rises here, if we have long positions dropping off, short positions stacking, in other words, retail expects the market to come back down, I will not short in that scenario. I will not short at all because I can see market makers just think it's continuing price up. However, if we do come into this zone with mediocre volume, with long stacking and shorts falling off the board, and you can tell it's obvious that the market thinks price is going to go higher, I will absolutely end up shorting between 4,000 and 4,120. So I don't want, I want to be very careful what I tell you that I'm doing, guys, and I want to be very honest with you. I don't want you to just say, Workin said he was going to short between 4,000 and 4,120, so that's what I'm going to do. It's going to depend on the market scenario if and when we do see this happen. And nothing guarantees that it will. But this is my mindset, and I just, my goal is to kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking, and hopefully that helps some people, develop their own little strategy. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's where I'm planning to short if and when we do see the if and when we do see that set of circumstances lining up to where a short would make sense. And for now, guys, I still have buy orders stacked between 3,800 and 3,750. As I said, I do have a tight stop loss, though, sitting right there at 3,700, knowing that this thing could end up breaking down. Remember, always keeping in mind that larger bearish pennant. All right, looking at our moving averages, exponential moving averages, and Bollinger Bands here, we can see that this is on the daily chart. We can see that price is held above this 21-day EMA for the most part, guys. Now, we had this one brief day where the daily candle did close below, immediately got pushed right back up the day following. So that was not a decisive break below the 21-day EMA. So since price did climb above this 21-day EMA on February the 8th, guys, it's held as a very, very strong support, and we have yet to see a decisive break below it. That's a very, very bullish sign. We're testing it. We tested the 21-day EMA today. So far, it's held. And again, if we do end up getting a scenario where the daily candle both open and we get a decisive break below the 21-day EMA, again, by decisive, I mean a daily candle both opening and closing below that 21-day EMA, I do think that's going to be a scenario of a reversal, at least in the short term, guys, and I'd be looking for a drop to at least the 50-day moving average, which will be somewhere right now around 3650-ish. if not lower than that. If that 50-day moving average breaks down, guys, I do think at that point the market will very likely, at least in the short term, be reversing course, and I'd be looking for targets right around 3,400, even 3,250-ish. We're not there yet, guys. Again, just kind of want to give you an idea of where my head is. So, you know, if something does happen, you guys know how I'm thinking. You guys can develop your own strategies here. All right, zooming back into the 4-hour chart here, guys, just to close up. One of the reasons I'm looking for a bounce right around that 3,800, guys, obviously there is decent support here. We have this ascending support line as well. You know, both would suggest a nice little bounce up. We're approaching the apex, so I can see a nice little one more bounce. I can see price coming back down here, hitting a lot of support here, and then just kind of taking off to at least test this $4,000 area. But if we come over here, again, this is on the 4-hour chart, and we look at point to point here on this little microstructure, what do we have? Obviously, this is a lower low. If we look at the exact same point, looking at the MACD, histogram created a lower low. And we look at the RSI, same point, RSI, again on the 4-hour, created a lower low. Obviously, that's divergence. In this case, we are looking at a temporary uptrend here on the 4-hour chart, guys. We're looking at the bottom, so in an uptrend, that's going to be hidden divergence, looking at the bottom here. And in this case, that is hidden bullish divergence. So again, that's why I'm looking for price to come back down and have a nice little bounce somewhere between 3,800 and 3,750. Now, might it not come down here? Might it just bounce where it is and come up and test 4,000? Yeah, that's possible. And if that happens, I won't get my buy orders filled. And you know what? If that doesn't happen, then that doesn't happen. You know, I am just fine with that. You know, if I don't get those filled, I don't get those filled, guys. You win some, you lose some. But that's just kind of what I'm thinking, guys. If we do end up coming back down, there is a lot of support here. We do have that bullish divergence, and that's why I'm looking for almost a nice little springboard out of this wedge pattern that we're in now to come back up and test 4,000 to 4,120. And if we do test 4,000 to 4,120, and if on the daily chart we have a decisive break above, again by decisive I mean the daily candle both opening and closing above 4,120, as I've said in the past, that will completely change my analysis, and I will start to become extremely bullish, especially if volume maintains, if volume consistently continues to rise as it has over the last 3 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.